I was going to come into this one really negatively, and now I'm kind of torn. Canucks lose in overtime, 4-3. Is that what it was? 4-3 against Calgary, and I think they were the better team. It was pretty close, right? Like, it was a pretty even game. Brock Besser ties it late to send it to OT, and before that goal, I was about to go off. I was unhappy, I was angry, I was mad at the silly mistakes that they were making that were costing this game. But let's get into the recap here. Demko versus Markstrom, Canucks versus Flames. Canucks were 5-3 at home coming into this one. No lineup changes for Vancouver, sticking with what worked in the last game. In the first period, Canucks go to the power play early, about 2 minutes in. Dubé takes a hooking penalty on Roussel. Everyone was trying to go in by themselves on this power play. Basically, everyone would try to skate the puck in themselves. They weren't drop passing. They weren't passing at all. They were just trying to go in 1-on-4. Nothing was working. They had one decent chance on a 3-on-2 that got blocked, and then right at the end of the power play, literally 1 second after the power play ended, Pearson tips a Quinn Hughes shot off of the draw. Great tip, 5-hole, makes it 1-0 Vancouver on the Canucks' first shot, beats Markstrom. Canucks had a delayed penalty coming up. Mackey had a cross-checking penalty that was coming up, and the Canucks had about a minute in the offensive zone on the delayed penalty. Couldn't get anything done. That penalty got killed off as well. 6:43 to go in the first period. Johnny Gaudreau got called for, he sort of slashed Bo's stick out of his hand. They called it interference. Fine call, is behind the play. And then 54 seconds left on that power play. Pearson gets high-sticked by Mackey, so the Canucks have a 5-on-3. And then right off the bat, on that 5-on-3, Miller to Brock down low, in front to Besser for in front to Horvat for a tic-tac-toe, tic-tac-bow, 2-0 Vancouver. It was an excellent play by Miller. He sort of faked the slap shot. It was a great slap pass down low, in front. God, I cannot speak. Horvat puts that one home. So 1:40 left on the power play, and that one gets killed off. With 24 seconds to go in the first period, Milan Lucic scores to make it 2-1, gets this game a little bit tighter, and the Canucks just completely collapsed on this shift. I don't know, they're like the first 18 minutes of the period, they were playing super well structurally. They were keeping everything outside. There was no high danger scoring chances at all until that Lucic goal. They just sort of collapsed late in the first period. 2-1 Vancouver after one shots were 8-7 to Calgary. So really even period. I think the Canucks have the edge for that period, though. But going into the second period, the Canucks have been terrible in second periods all year. 3.5 minutes in, Schmidt got called for holding on Tkachuk. This was like a minute after taking a high stick from Tkachuk, but that's okay. They don't have to call that, I guess. It was a strong penalty kill. No shots allowed. 15 straight home kills for the Canucks on that one. And then with about 10 minutes to go in the second period, Horvat makes a crucial error. And I forgot to mention, on that Lucic goal, Jake totally failed to clear the puck. And one thing we're going to get to in the minuses is every single goal was based off of a bad mistake. So there was the Virtanen mistake on the Lucic goal. On this one, Horvat is trying to play it over to Hughes. They're on a 3-on-1, and he just doesn't make a hard pass. And it gets picked off. They go the other way. Lindholm goes in, beats Demko, ties the game at 2. And it's one of those things where it demoralizes a team. It crushes you. And then 5 minutes later, Nate Schmidt has a crucial error. Demko goes behind the net, passes it over to Nate Schmidt. And as Demko's skating around his net to go back into his net, because that's his job, he's the goalie, Schmidt tries to play it up the middle, and it hits Demko and goes in to make it 3-2. And this is after spending about 2 full minutes in the Calgary zone. Just all 3 of these goals from Calgary were off silly mistakes. And then with a minute and a half to go, while the Canucks should be trying to come back, a minute and a half to go in the second period, Beagle takes a dumb penalty on Gaudreau, sort of trips him. And then a minute later, Lindholm sort of elbows Myers in the head, so that goes back to 4-on-4. After 3-2 Calgary. Shots in the second period were 12-10 for Calgary, making them 20-17 through the second period. Canucks were slightly better in the first period. And the second period, I think, was pretty even, except for 2 really dumb plays by the Canucks. In the third period, Jake Virtanen had a decent chance. He sort of had 2 whacks at it in the air as it was falling on Markstrom. Couldn't score. Hoaglander, a minute later, had 2 excellent chances where he came in with speed down the right wing, made a nice move around a guy, and then he got another chance right after, couldn't score. And then 5.5 minutes into the third period, Jake Virtanen again fails to clear the puck. Just can't get it out of the zone. And Calgary gets a prime chance. They fail to score. 20 seconds after that, though, Eriksson gets hauled down by Mackey. There's sort of a scrum that goes on for like a full minute. Virtanen and Tkachuk go to the box for roughing. You take that trade if you're the Canucks anytime. And it was just an atrocious power play. You're down a goal. You have 14 minutes to go. Try to build some momentum up. You got a power play, and it was absolutely useless. The first minute of that power play, they were just passing it and missing everybody. The second minute of that power play was a little better. We'll give them that. But, it was pretty bad power play. 11:40 to go. Johnny Gaudreau gets a breakaway. Schmidt got beat by him, although he did make a good play to sort of lift his stick through Gaudreau's legs to somewhat break it up. Demko made a good save there. And then Myers takes a penalty for cross-checking Gaudreau. This is an absolutely dangerous power play from Calgary trying to put this game on ice. But the Canucks survive it, kill it off. 2:50 to go in the third period. The Canucks had an obvious too many men penalty. Guy jumped on the ice. The guy who was coming off turned around and played the puck. And then the guy who had just jumped off the ice jumped back off. It was obviously too many men. Didn't get called. Canucks pulled Demko with 1:31 to go in the third period. And then 9 seconds later, Tkachuk is coming in to try to score on the empty net. Hughes takes him down, goes to the penalty box, and now the game's over, right? That's when I'm writing up all my minuses and all this stuff, just being angry. And then 30 seconds to go in the third period. Off of the faceoff, Myers plays it over to Besser. Puck sort of stands up on edge, and Besser just shoots it. Far side on Markstrom. Great shot. Ties the game at 3 with 30 seconds to go. Technically a shorthanded goal. Shots in the third period, 16-6 for Vancouver, making them 33-26 at that point in the game. And the Canucks, I think, were the slightly better team, but their stupid mistakes are the reason that they were losing in the first place, but at least they salvaged a point. In overtime, Calgary's on a 38-second power play, and Gaudreau scores 23 seconds in. 4-on-3 power plays are always dangerous. There's just so much space out there. So Gaudreau scores on sort of a sharp angle shot from the far wall. I think the shots in the overtime were 1-0 for Calgary. I think that was the only shot, maybe 2. Not entirely sure. Either way, shots ended up being like 33-27 or so. Yeah, kind of a frustrating game. The Canucks were the slightly better team, like I mentioned, and they made silly mistakes. And like I mentioned earlier, that first mistake from Jake Virtanen not clearing the zone, Lucic holds it in, Lucic ends up scoring. And then there's the Bo Horvat pass that just didn't get over to Quinn Hughes in time. That got picked off and went the other way. And then the Nate Schmidt error. Or was it Schmidt? Yeah, Schmidt banking it in off of Demko. Just 3 bad mistakes where the structure was really good for the Canucks, and then they just blew the structure. Like their structure was so good that everything was kept to the outside, and then the 3 bad chances they gave up, Calgary scored on them. And the pluses and minuses for it. We'll start with the pluses here. Canucks score the first goal. Canucks score the first 2 goals. That's always good. You always want to get ahead early. The structure was really good. Everything was kept to the outside, obviously barring those few goals and a couple chances, but most of the game, the Canucks' defensive structure was good. Everything was kept outside. No real high-danger chances. And then I didn't have any pluses for a while. Canucks saved a point. And again, if you want to make the playoffs, you have to beat Calgary, right? Because it's going to be Toronto, Montreal, and then Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver. You got to beat Calgary, and you got to beat someone else. So, you gotta win these games, or at least you salvaged a point in this one. And one plus that I do want to pick up is there was that sign of resiliency that we saw last year. And last year, the Canucks would be down late, but you never truly felt like they were out of it. And early this year, it has felt that way. It's like, oh, well, they're down 1 with 4 minutes to go. They're not tying it up, right? And we've been right most of the time thinking of that. But they showed resiliency. Even after they took a penalty, after Quinn Hughes took a penalty, they still came out and tried to tie it, and they did. A couple other pluses. The Jets won in regulation over the Oilers, so only a 2-point game there. And the Sens beat the Leafs. Leafs are up 5-1, and they allowed 5 straight goals from the Sens to win in overtime. On to the negatives. Jake again. He had a bad game. He had one good chance, but he was one of the causes of the first goal. He doesn't look good out there. I'm kind of like, I'm put Howerluck in, put McEwen in, put Mark Michaelis in. Like whoever you got, next man up. Take Jake out. Let's see what happens here. The ridiculous mistakes, like I mentioned, that's definitely a minus. They blew a lead, so in the pluses we mentioned that they came back from down and saved a point and showed resiliency, but they blew a 2-0 lead to start. And again, mostly just down to bad mistakes. Tyler Myers took another penalty. Where have we heard that one before? Game pucks for this one. For Vancouver, it is Brock Besser. And I had Brock Besser written down before he scored that goal in the third period. He just had a good game. He was solid out there. He had an assist on the Horvat goal. He scored the goal late in the third. For Calgary, it's Johnny Gaudreau. He was all over the ice tonight. And again, I had this written down before he scored the OT winner. He was just the best player on Calgary. Other than that, Canucks play next on Wednesday, game 4 of this series. Is that right? Have they played 3 times already? Or twice? No, game 3. Wednesday and Friday. I don't know. I'm so tired. This team really takes it out of me. That's all I've got for this one. I'll talk to you guys later.